The village of Ogwoma lay between thick forests and a winding river whose waters glowed golden whenever the sun rose. Every villager knew the path beside the river, but only a few dared to walk near the old mud hut that stood crooked at its bank. That hut belonged to Nonyoki, the mysterious old woman whose eyes were said to see through lies and whose footsteps made birds fall silent. One harmattan afternoon, Obina, a restless young man known for chasing quick wealth, stood at the riverbank staring at the hut. "They say she hides treasures," he whispered to himself. "Let today be my day." With greedy anticipation burning in his eyes, he crept closer, ignoring the chill that suddenly filled the air. The door of the hut was slightly open. Inside, the air smelled of cowries, herbs, and ancient secrets. Obina's heart pounded, but curiosity pushed him forward. On a low stool glittered a gourd wrapped in bright red cloth, cowries glued around it in a spiral. "This must be it," he breathed, stretching his hand toward the glowing object. But as his fingers brushed it, he heard footsteps. His heart froze. Nonyoki stepped in, her back bent but her voice sharp. "Who enters my dwelling without invitation?" Obina slipped behind a woven mat, trembling. When the old woman turned toward a pot of herbs, he seized the gourd and dashed out like a frightened antelope. The forest air slapped him as he ran, leaves staring at his face. Behind him, the old woman's voice echoed like thunder. "Obina, you have touched what you do not understand." Her words chased him, rolling through the trees. "Leave me alone," he shouted, clutching the gourd tighter. But even as he ran, he felt something odd, his palms itched strangely, and a warm sensation crawled up his arms. He ignored it and only ran faster, praying she would not catch him. He burst into the marketplace, panting. People stared at him, confused, but Obina lifted the gourd and grinned. "My fortune has come." Back in his compound, Obina locked the gourd inside a wooden chest. He danced around it, chanting, "I will be richer than the chief." His friend Chika walked in with a worried look. "Obina, people saw you running from the river hut. Tell me it is not true." Obina laughed loudly. "I only collected what I deserve. That old woman cannot harm me." Chika shook his head. "She is not ordinary. I beg you, return whatever you took." "Go home, Chika," Obina said dismissively. "Tomorrow you will see riches raining on me." But deep down, fear tugged at his chest, refusing to leave. That night, the moon hung low and red. Obina woke to an itch around his ears. When he scratched them, he felt fur. "What is this?" he gasped, rushing to a clay bowl filled with water. His reflection wavered but confirmed the impossible. His ears had grown longer, pointed like an animal's. "No! No!" he cried. Before dawn, hooves began forming where his feet had been. His skin thickened and sprouted brown hair. As the sun rose, Obina screamed again, but his voice cracked, then bleated. He staggered around his hut, half man, half goat. By midday, the transformation completed. Where Obina once stood, a tall brown goat remained, trembling with fear but fully conscious. His human voice was gone, only bleats escaped his throat. He ran outside to the village square. Me! Me! He tried to scream for help. Children chased him, laughing. "A big goat! Catch it!" Obina dodged them desperately. Chika approached, shocked. "This goat, it has Obina's eyes." He knelt and whispered, "What happened to you?" Obina tried to speak, but only painful bleating came out. Tears filled his goat eyes. The villagers gathered, murmuring. "It is a sign. Something evil has happened." A sudden hush fell over the crowd as Nonyoki appeared, walking with her staff carved from Iroko wood. "Move aside," she commanded. The villagers parted immediately. She looked at the goat. "Obina, you stole from me. The treasure you touched was an Iekwensu, a cursed god bound by the spirits. I did not transform you from anger, but by the law of the spirits you awakened. Chika fell to his knees. Mother, please save him. He has learnt his lesson. She shook her head slowly. The cure is not simple. The villagers listened in fearful silence. That night, under a sky full of trembling stars, Nonyoki led the villagers to the sacred grove. The goat Obina was tied gently to a palm tree. The old woman set the stolen god before him. To break the curse, she said, he must confess with his heart, for his mouth no longer belongs to him. She sprinkled black powder on the ground. The air shimmered. Obina, she said, think your confession. If your spirit is sincere, the ancestors will hear it. The goat bowed his head. His eyes squeezed shut. Tears rolled down. In his heart, he cried out, I am sorry. I was greedy. Forgive me. A strong wind circled them as if listening. The wind stopped suddenly. The old woman nodded. The ancestors have heard him. But a price must be paid. What price? Chika asked anxiously. Service, she said. For 7 seasons, Obina will serve the village, not as a goat, but as a man reborn in humility. But first he must shed this cursed form. She lifted the god, smashed it against the stone, and a burst of golden dust filled the air. Obina's body glowed, stretching, reshaping, bones cracking painfully as he transformed back into a man. When it was over, he lay on the ground naked, weak, crying. Chika covered him with a cloth. You are alive, Chika whispered. Obina stood before the villagers the next morning, humbled, pale, and shaking. I stole, he said, voice breaking. I disrespected an elder. I allowed greed to blind me. I thank the ancestors for mercy. Nwanyoki stepped forward. Let this be a warning. Not every treasure shines for the eyes of mortals. From that day onward, Obina worked tirelessly, repairing roofs, farming for widows, carrying water for elders. His pride melted away, replaced by gratitude. In time, he became known not as the thief who turned into a goat, but as Obina the wise, the man who learned the hard way that greed carries a price. And the villagers never again forgot the power of the old woman by the riverside, nor the magic hidden within a simple god.